Hello everybody. Today we have an unboxing. This was an impulse buy off of eBay. This is what happens when you're bored at work and messing around on eBay. So anyways, let's open her up and see what we've got. Let's see, I could do something theatrical for YouTube. Like Shango066 did when he opened the box with the circular saw. But I really don't feel like dragging my circular saw out of the shed and running the cord and all that fun stuff and having to clean the mess up out of my living room. That just don't seem too good of an idea to me. So anyways, what can we do for some theatrical effect here to open this bad boy? That could work. Somehow I don't think the shipping insurance will cover that though. Anyways. Here we go. Is that big and menacing enough for you? Anyways, I'm going to tilt the camera. Don't want you to see my address. So here we go. Upside down. Be right back. Fresh mushrooms. I don't think so. Yeah. Unboxing goodness. There you go. Is that knife big enough for you? So, okay, on to the contents of the box. Let's see what kind of packaging we got here. We got the funny papers. Old funny papers. May 26th. Or 8th, I should say. Anybody want to read Dilbert? You can pause it and read Dilbert if you like. Anyways, let's keep on digging here and see what we end up with. More newspaper. Oh, I see something. Let's see. It's best if I get this out of here. Pull out some more newspaper while we can. They got her wedged in there pretty good. Let's see what we got. There we go. This is around a 1975-ish Zenith clock radio. Ain't in too bad a shape, and you can't really tell nothing from the pictures on eBay. With the scroll clock, let's pray that works. Oh, it rattled. That's not good. Snooze button. Touch and snooze. Oh, there's a button broke off of it. Oh no. That button's still there. Let's check the box. Well, as you can see, it still plays. Better turn that down before the YouTube police get me. But it still plays. I can turn the switch in here where it's broke off with a knife. That shows that it does work. Clock ain't no good. It isn't working. But now everything turns like it ought to. I did scroll through. So I think it's just probably a gummed up lubrication in the motor issue. One of these days when I have some time, we'll take this thing apart and work on it. The radio seems to pull in stations really well. I live in a rural area, so the nearest radio stations are 50 to 70 miles away, most of them. Well, that one's in town here. That's about the only close one. That right there is about 70 miles away. But anyways, one of these days we'll get to fixing this thing. Thanks for watching, and more to come later. Back to the Zenith clock radio saga. Okay, so I took the Zenith apart, and as you'll see in another video, someone had stolen the motor right here, off the end there, out of the clock. So what was supposed to be a working condition clock had parts removed. So what I have here is an allegedly new old stock clock mechanism for that clock. But I don't think it's new old stock, because if you look real close, you can see pieces of the wire, especially on that top terminal, that have been cut off. So this is used. And to add insult to injury, when I took it out of the box it was shipped in, parts fell out of it. So I doubt this works. Anyways, what we're going to do, I have my cheater cord laying right here. Or suicide cord, I should say. But we're going to suicide cord onto these two terminals and see if this thing runs. Okay, now we are plugged into the suicide cord, and the time is set. And surprisingly enough, the seconds are actually running. So what I'll do is I'll leave this thing plugged in on the suicide cord for a day or two to make sure it's running before I attempt to put it into the clock. Anyways, let's sit here and watch this thing change one time. It's going to be in a few seconds. So I emailed the seller on the clock radio about parts being missing from it. And there it goes. And he immediately refunded my money, which was really excellent of him. I didn't expect him to. I didn't ask for a refund. I just emailed him and told him what I found when I'd cracked the lid of it open, which had been damaged in shipping also. It had some broken screw holes, which maybe they did that when they took the motor out of it. But this one's appearing to run so far. As you can see, it just flipped from 1137 to 1138. So we'll let this thing run and we'll see what she does. Let's watch it again, because it's really neat. I think these are neat. I've wanted one of these forever. Hopefully this clock mechanism will work. I don't really care about the alarm or the sleep timer. As long as it keeps time, I'm happy. Here it goes again. Anyways, if this clock mechanism is good, or I can make one out of two, there'll be a future video on this unit of me reassembling it. Thanks for watching. More to come later. Okay, now this thing has been sitting here running for over 12 hours and a half now. And it seems to be keeping good time. So, I think we're going to attempt to put this into the clock radio. See, there it goes, 12:03. And if you look, I set it with my watch, which it's crooked and hard to see, but you can see it's approximately 12:03 on my watch too, which is beat up. Poor watch. So we're going to attempt to put this into the clock radio. And if you remember my car stereo boombox from a previous video, it now has a handle. It's become my kitchen stereo. So I'll be back. Okay, I'm back on the Zenith clock radio. So we're going to be opening this unit up. To open this unit up, you've got screws, which broken screw holes I was talking about earlier. But now if yours don't have broken screws, you'll have screws all the way around here, right there, back there, and that one, and that one. Now earlier in the video I said that this knob right here was broke off. Actually it wasn't. It had fell off and it was in the bottom of the box, so I reattached that. But now it don't really matter because it's getting a whole new clock mechanism, as I showed you earlier. So to get into this thing, you just pull these two black knobs off. Put them somewhere you won't lose them. Pull these screws, and I'll pull these screws. While I'm pulling these screws, I'll put the camera down. So I'll be right back. Okay, now the shorter screw, if you notice this screw is a little bit shorter than the rest of them. It goes in the front, which these may have been shorter too. I don't know. I never had them. But now that the screws are out, you can just grab the base of it, lift up, kind of tilt, watch your little levers, and she pulls right out, just like that. So, I'll show you here what I found when I first opened this thing, which kind of ticked me off. If you looked earlier in the video, the other clock mechanism has a nice motor right here. As you can see, this one has nothing. Somebody jacked the motor out of this, which is a shame because the scrolls on this clock are in better shape than that one. But I want a working clock. That's the main thing I'm after. You can see right here's where, at first I thought they pilfered it for parts, but if you look, there's pieces of the motor right there broke off on here. So maybe they didn't succeed in getting it for parts. I don't know. Either way, we're going to try to put a new clock mechanism in this. It don't look like it's going to be hard to change. I've got a screw here, it appears. Screw here. Screw up down in there. And a screw back here with a ground strap that wasn't hooked up when I first received the unit. Hooking that ground strap up made the light work in the clock. So hopefully that's the reason the light isn't working on that one. But all I had hooked up on the other one was the motor just to test it. So I guess we'll get started pulling this unit. I'll need 2 hands for that. I'll be right back. Okay, now I have the clock out of the radio. I've cut the heat shrink off the tubing. So now you can see how it's wired. It's all soldered. I'll have to get my soldering out, iron out, get it warm, and desolder it from this mechanism and solder it on this mechanism. But as you can see, the brown wire from the clock chassis goes to the top. The 2 blacks are hooked together on the lower terminal. And these 2 terminals, which are spliced like this, go to the motor. They'll have to be soldered on here. See, there's pieces of the old motor. If they were attempting to get parts out of it, I don't think they succeeded. I think they broke their part. But either way, we're going to try to fix it. We'll be back. Okay, now I've just finished. I've unwired the old one. See, there's the old broke off plugs. And I was telling you, a part fell out of this clock mechanism when I shipped it here. When I opened it, right here's the part that fell out. But as you can see, it still runs. Now, you can see my ugly solder joints. Those aren't going to win solder joints of the year right there, as you can see. Or those. Get them in the frame down there on that motor. They ain't the prettiest solder joints either, but they'll definitely be functional. But before I put this thing back together, I want to pull the radio chassis out over here because I have a scratchy tone control and clean that. So I'll do that. And we'll put this thing back together and see if she works. Okay, now I've pulled the chassis, cleaned my pots. Now I'm putting my chassis back in. The chassis is real easy on this unit. You got a screw there, the screw in the center of the circuit board there, 2 screws back here by the ferrite bar antenna, and these antenna wires, which are on terminals that just pull off. I've already pushed them back on. So I'm going to put these 5 screws back in and this radio chassis is ready to go. Okay, now My clock mechanism's back in. My radio chassis is completely bolted back down. I've cleaned my controls. My clock's wired in, bolted in around the edges, as you can see. My ground wire's hooked up. Don't forget the ground wire. There's the other screw. And I just need a little bit of electrical tape on them terminals. And this thing's ready to plug in and see what happens. I'll be back and show you what happens. Okay, now we're all reassembled. Ready to go give her a test drive. Let's see what she does. And now for the moment everyone's been waiting for. Let's see it work. My light's working good. My clock's working. Sweet. There's not many radio stations around here, as you can see. But this thing picks up better than most radios. This thing picks up really well.
From Menard County Technical Center.
I mean, usually you ain't gonna get much around here. Lots of noise. There's a station. I have no clue what these stations are, but I figure they're not close.
50147.
Thought we would have heavy metal on there for a minute. As you can see, this radio is really hot. Anyway, I'm going to pause this. Let's see if the alarm works. Okay, now here she is back together in her forever home on the nightstand. I intend on this being my daily driver clock radio. The alarm does not appear to work. I looked at the old mechanism, and this is a lot stiffer. In the old mechanism, see right here, it's basically free. So I'm guessing that piece that's broke is probably part of the alarm mechanism, but that's not a huge deal because I use the alarm on my cell phone. So here's what it looks like after a little bit of cleaning in its forever home. Anyways, thanks for watching, and more to come later. Just a little bit of a teaser. Here's another clock radio I want to fix up at some point. This is an Emerson clock radio. The blue vacuum fluorescent display. And of all things, see if we can get that on there. Stereo 8-track. Ain't that neat? But it needs a lot of work. I know it needs caps. It needs the controls clean. They're really scratchy. Even the switches on the top are scratchy when you flip them. And the 8-track player somewhat works, believe it or not. The whole thing somewhat works, but it definitely needs the controls cleaned and the new caps. But that'll be another day's project. Anyways, thanks for watching. More to come later.